What's up, guys? It is Luis Alvarado here and Paloma joining me today.
Hello.
So excited for this. Let me give you guys a little background of where Paloma and I first exchanged a few words. It was actually on Facebook Messenger. And I always, for those of you that know me, I'm always preaching about creating relationships online, especially just through Facebook alone. So we actually have something cool coming out in the near future, a collaboration that we did together,
Look out.
and with other entrepreneurs. But now, well, from there, from us meeting there, I was actually, most of you guys know, in New York last month, and we were able to take our offline friendship and meet in real life. And she threw a really great party at her place up in New York, and yeah, we were able to connect there. And since then, we've established a great relationship, great friendship. Paloma knows, like, I'll do anything whenever she asks,
He
and
calls me every night and tells me about what he ate for lunch. It's so nice. It's so nice.
and she's also pretty hilarious. Um, Super, super, super funny. But today we're actually here, going to be talking about copywriting. If you didn't get it by now, like the things that she can communicate through words online, it's one of the first things that caught my attention about her. So she's going to be answering any questions that anybody has, and give us a little high level overview of what copywriting is for those that aren't familiar with this topic.
Sure. Awesome. Hey guys, I'm so excited to be talking to you today. We are going to be going through the 8 deadly sins of copywriting, what people do wrong with their copy. And we had one person who asked the question, wait, what the heck is copywriting? So let's give a quick overview. In the simplest terms possible, it's essentially how to put good words in a good order so that people take action, right? That's what persuasion is all about. How to affect somebody's behavior. And the reason that we have to write in business is because we are trying to scale the relationship building process, right? So it would be really lovely if we could all meet each other in person and we could spend an hour or two getting to know each other, right? And a lot of the time we are afforded that luxury, and a lot of the time we're not, right? And so writing is an amazing way to scale the process of building like, trust, and respect, right? And there are so many techniques. If you are not a natural writer, that is 1,000,000% okay. I myself did a master's in creative writing at the University of Toronto. Um, but if you didn't do a master's in creative writing, that's okay too. Um, because these skills, just like the skill of negotiation, just like the skill of confidence, are things that can be learned. And so I'm really excited to share that with you today. And just remember, like any other skill, you gotta freaking flex your muscles and do it over and over and over again. In the online entrepreneur world, like you need to learn a zillion things every day. And so this is one of the best things that you can learn, how to write killer copy. Because you can really move people to action, move people to purchase, move people to like you, trust you, respect you, be interested in your world, want to join your world, want to be enlisted in your vision and your dream through the way that you communicate. So that's a long way of saying copywriting is putting the right words in the right order to elicit the right actions from the listener. Cool?
Awesome. Hope everybody got that. Let's see. Okay, now we have some people joining in. Yeah, so we can, I guess, jump straight into some questions that people were extremely excited to get into this week. So,
Sure.
what are some of the resources and individuals that you looked into to start learning copywriting?
Yeah, that's a great question. So Dan Kennedy is a legend. When I was 19, my mama said to me, my mom's an incredible marketing coach. Her name is Sue Feet. She wrote the book Step into the Spotlight, A Guide to Getting Known. I am one of 4 girls, and I was the only one of the 4 who was interested in entrepreneurship. So when I was 19, I remember we were hanging out on her bed, and she said to me, Paloma, do you want to go on a trip to Chicago? And I was like, duh. I'd never been on a plane before by age 19, if you can believe it. And so we hopped on a plane a couple days later, and we went to Dan Kennedy's marketing conference, and I went to the part for young entrepreneurs. My mind was blown, guys. I thought I wanted to be in psychology, and anybody who's in marketing knows that psychology is like the backbone of marketing, understanding what triggers a yes in people, what moves people, what influences people. But I just remember being overwhelmed with, like, when you, like, I don't know if love at first sight exists, but if you've experienced that, that's how I felt at this conference. And I just remember I went out into the hall and they had this like crazy like banquet table with all of these like snacks. And I remember just like looking into this bowl of gumballs thinking, you know what? This is cool and I can do this and I believe in this and I love the fact that any person can be powerful. Any person can be powerful if you know how to use words to move people. So yes, Dan Kennedy is an amazing person to look to. I am, of course, biased, and I think every person needs to read Step into the Spotlight, A Guide to Getting Known by Sufit, Tsufit. That is my mama, and she taught me everything that I know. So she taught me about, she had a really interesting career progression, and it inspired me so much because, I feel like a lot of us grow up with parents who hate their jobs. I don't know, Louis, did you have that experience or yours are?
Well, in my case, my parents, we came from Peru. So back in Peru, my mom was a doctor and my dad
Okay.
was a general in the Navy. So they were doing what they loved. But when we
Okay.
transitioned here to the U.S., that was a different story. None of their credentials mattered anymore. And so they
Mm,
literally, as immigrants, we had to start from the very, very bottom.
right.
And, I've shared that story. I've shared that story with
Yeah.
you, like literally, just coming
Right.
here because we won the visa lottery, but not really getting to do the jobs they wanted because of the English being the language barrier. And so
Right.
that's when I put the team on my back.
Right. Yeah, that's amazing. And like, guys, in literally like I think a year from now, Lewis is gonna be too cool to talk to me. But for now, when he's at this level, we can still be bros. So yeah, so my mom has been amazing and instrumental in this. And what she teaches is a lot of people think that it's not professional to be interesting. How messed up is that? They think that you have to be in a plain old boring suit. This is the old way of doing business, right? The fitting in model. Well, these days you better not fit in. It is a really horrible risk to your success if you're focused on fitting in. Instead, you must do everything that you can to stand out because it is noisy out there, right? And you're not entitled to attention, right? So we have entrepreneurship now is cool, okay? Everybody thinks that they're an entrepreneur. Everybody's like, interested in the Instagram entrepreneurs, and it's a cool lifestyle, at least from the outside, right? But because of that, we have all these people who are creating content, and you must stand out. And so one of the things that I want to talk to you guys about today is how to stand out, the mechanics and the technicalities that support how to stand out, because that will really make a huge difference in your copywriting, right? It's like when it comes to your work, you're paid in money. When it comes to school, we were paid in grades. When it comes to our communication, we're paid in, any guesses? We're paid in attention, right? And so the extent to which you can capture and hold attention, that is the extent to which you can influence people. And that's what we're all here to do today.
Yeah, and I believe I actually saw today earlier. Do you know Mel Robbins? You familiar with Mel
Yeah, yeah,
Robbins?
yeah. 5 second rule.
Yeah, yeah. She actually came up with the attention currency.
Oh,
She was,
interesting.
and that was like exactly what you just mentioned. It's talking about
Yeah,
how nowadays everybody's battling for attention, and you know how we've
right.
been having to learn what the Facebook algorithm does and how we
Yeah,
can bump into
right.
people's feed so we can be more and more present. And so that's kind of like where people are monetizing,
Yeah,
whatever they do with their passions is by getting people's attention.
right. And I knew that you were going to ask the question about resources. So I brought a book to show you.
Oh,
If you haven't read this book before, get off this call, okay? Run to a bookstore or whatever young people do today. Go to Amazon, whatever, and get a copy of Pitch Anything by Oren Klaff. I am not an affiliate, but I happily would be. This dude is brilliant, and the way that he breaks down pitch dynamics. Hey, Cody, how cool! The way that he breaks down pitch dynamics is mind-blowingly amazing. So go read a copy of Pitch Anything. It doesn't matter if it's like verbal pitch, written pitch. He teaches you the dynamics because really at the end of the day, it is a question of, oh yeah, Cody, you read it. Awesome. Yeah, it is a question of dynamics of power of who wants whom. And that is something that you can construct and build. So Dan Kennedy, read everything of his. I would start with, if you're only going to read one, if you're like really ADD like me, read Dan Kennedy's My Unfinished Business. It's remarkable. It's not specifically on copy, but it's about how to defend your time and resources as an entrepreneur, and it also has so much personality. His writing has so much personality, so grab a copy of that. Pitch Anything is amazing. And Sufit, Tsufit, that is a Hebrew name that means hummingbird. She wrote the book Step into the Spotlight, A Guide to Getting Known. You know, it's so interesting. Yeah, Tsufit, Step into the Spotlight, A Guide to Getting Known. I was at a networking meeting, and I found myself talking to this woman who is really well known in marketing. And I just so happened to mention to her, I'm like, oh, my mom is in marketing. That's how I got into it, right? She's like, what's your mom's name? And I was like, oh, I'm not, like, you probably, maybe you haven't heard of her. She's like, no, tell me. And I said, it's Sufit of Step in the Spotlight. She's like, oh my God, I tell everybody about this book. And she's like, I tell all my clients that they have to read it if they want to work with me. So it's a great one. Yeah, so those are the resources that I would recommend.
Awesome. Okay, so next question we have, how can I best avoid overcomplicating writing copy?
Yeah, honestly, it's really freaking tough. This is one thing that's always been hard for me, is it being too complex. There are different ways that you can address this. And I think when you say too complex, you probably mean about the process of writing. I don't know if you mean the particular writing itself or the process. We can talk about both. If you're talking about the writing itself being very complicated, confusion is the opposite of purchase. If somebody doesn't really clearly understand how it will affect their life positively, how it will help them become the after to your before, then they're not going to make that purchase decision. So clarity is so important. One thing, so my mom coached me growing up, and one thing she made me do is I'd hand her these essays, and I was like, Mom, I really need help editing this. And she is a shark of an editor. Like, you might leave her room crying because it's so real. She's so real with you. But she's always freaking spot on. And she says to me, Paloma, in one sentence, what are you trying to say with this essay? I'm like, I don't know, Mom. And I was just like talking. She's like, in one sentence, if you can't explain it to a 7-year-old, you don't know what you're saying. And so don't think that writing long means writing well. In fact, being able to be really concise and to distill it helps a lot. And I myself have no right to be saying this because I am the longest writer. I got a personal message from Arnie Giske saying, Paloma, your post should be shorter. So, but this is what I tell my clients. I tell my clients every word costs $1, right? Suddenly we're a little bit more frugal with our language, right? So if every word costs $1, then you're not going to be writing these huge, long things. And if you could only communicate one thing to your audience, what would it be? You have to ask yourself that. If they leave knowing only 2 things, what are those going to be, right? And then get the bare bones. Build yourself an outline. And something that we do in the editing world is something called a reverse outline, right? It's like an X-ray. So you have the final writing, and you can't really see it. It's got all this like flab and bones, right? Well, doing a reverse outline is like taking an X-ray of your writing, and it's basically you label each paragraph or each little chunk. What is this about, right? So if the first one is get reader curious ? Right? The next one is make a confession, right? So you just write on the side, what is it that you're doing? And sometimes you'll find that there's some redundancy, right? Maybe you're making your offer up here and then you're making your offer down here. And being redundant is the opposite of having them understand exactly what it is that you're offering. So I think actually Akbar has this test, and he calls it the idiot test, where it's like if somebody looks at your website and can't, and you show them for 5 seconds, okay, then you close it. Within 5 seconds, if they can't tell you what you're offering, how to get it, and what the benefit is to them, then you have failed the idiot test. So if you want to, take it from a complex thing to a simple, comprehensible thing that someone can actually say yes to, because by the way, people want to say yes to you, but sometimes you're making it hard for them to say yes to you because they can't line up, they can't justify it to themselves because you've confused them. So, and then one last thing in terms of complexity. Take the thing that you wrote. I know this sounds like olden day stuff. Print it out, okay? Put it in a drawer and come back to it 2-3 days later if it's an important piece of writing, and you will see it with fresh eyes. You will see mistakes you didn't realize before, and that way you can experience it as a reader as opposed to just the writer, and you get that fresh perspective.
Nice. Yeah, that's pretty great to see from those two different perspectives. And guys, we're getting a bunch of good info. So if you're enjoying this, I want you guys to smash that heart button so we can see it.
Smash it, guys! You gotta fucking smash it.
So you can see it right across the screen. But yeah, that was the question.
Give it a heart. If you love it, go into the search bar, type in the negotiation project, and get your ass in one of the coolest. Luz's group is one of the coolest, and the negotiation project is, in my very humble opinion, one of the coolest. So jump in there.
Jump in there.
Sorry, what were you saying?
I endorse it. I endorse it.
Lewis stamped from it.
This is how. Okay, so that was a question from Skylar that he wanted to know how to not overcomplicate things.
Yeah.
And this one from but Billy actually writes when to use long copy versus short copy.
That's a great question. There are benefits and drawbacks to both, and so let me frame this by saying, remember what the purpose of all of this is, okay? The purpose is not make the sale right away, because that does not happen. The purpose is to foster and cultivate a relationship, right? So the form itself is not the most important thing. Your authenticity is the most important thing. Your ability to help them is the most important thing. All of that said, short writing is good because it engages people quickly and it gives them the payoff quickly, and most people these days are pretty ADD, okay? Now, long writing can come later when you've got them and they trust you and they like you. Now, I will read a whole post of James Altucher's. I'll read a whole article of his because my point in his sales cycle is that I like him, I trust him, I have deep respect for him. I met him in New York. He was doing a stand-up comedy night, and I met him after. It was so freaking cool. Like, he was like, "Hey, Paloma," and he hugged me. I was like, "How do you know my name?" But he did, and that was pretty cool. But the purpose is to foster a relationship, so don't forget that. A lot of people want to go for the kill and say, like, they think, like, one problem with this whole online entrepreneur thing that I myself was affected by, and I'm sure a lot of people are, is you see the fruits of somebody else's labor, but you don't see the labor itself, right? So you would say, like, oh, a Tony Robbins, he could just, like, I don't know, shit on a piece of paper and say this is $5.99, and a lot of people would buy it, okay? Well, they think, like, oh, it's not fair. I'm not Tony Robbins. Well, listen, Tony Robbins wasn't born Tony Robbins, okay? So building your influence, like, this is a long game. And if anybody's in this for the short game, you don't belong in this conversation here, because that is, like, quick, scammy, get in, get out. We are thinking long game, so you have to be here for the long game. So to answer your question, long and short both have their benefits, but remember that the ultimate purpose of all this is relationship building, so that people like you, know you, trust you. Amen, says my darling friend Lewis. Great. Next.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Trying to be in this for the long run, like as we are group leaders and we're pushing to grow just the level of influence that we have over other individuals, finding our voice. and just being able to change lives through the internet, right? For example, you met somebody new of you through the group because you've been hanging out in here previously,
Yeah.
and you guys met at a networking event, right? So for those that
Yeah,
are
that was nuts. Guys,
right,
this was a weird moment, okay? I was in the elevator going to a networking meeting that my friend had invited me to. Everyone's like in the elevator, it's like really silent, and I love to like break the ice. That's my thing. So we get in, and I'm like, "Hey guys." One girl turns to me and she's like, "Does your name start with a P?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And she's like, "I think I know you through Lewis's group. Friends, I'm Canadian, and this is in New York." So it just goes to show how far, like, in person is amazing, but if your identity can pass between countries, right? The scope of your influence is infinite if you're a good writer. Infinite. So yeah.
that was crazy. It made me really happy to be able to see that. Like literally, I've been witnessing the past few months how much of you can take a relationship online and just form
Yeah.
based on a group, and this is the most personal way I feel like from any other platform. Like when Hector
Yeah.
was on, we spoke about it and we went in depth
Yeah.
on this. um oh look, you got Canadian
I
flags,
got some
Cody.
Canadian flags. Thanks, Cody. Cody, where are you from? That's what I want to know.
Cody. Okay, so the following question from Renzo. He asks, how do you write ad copy that gets a reader excited but isn't too salesy?
Okay, great. If I tell you, Lewis, you should go to the gym, you feel probably what? What do you feel?
To go to the gym?
I'm like, you should go to the gym. That's what you should do.
I don't. I make
You
my
probably
own
feel like
decisions.
sort of defensive, right?
Yeah.
Like, why are you telling me what to do? And people do that in writing as well. Like, you should do blah blah. What if I say to you, Lewis? Let me tell you a story. I used to be 891 pounds. Luckily, this is not true. Well, Lewis, I used to be 891 pounds. You saw I made you guacamole. You see, I really love guacamole. Okay, I was 891 pounds. Okay, and let me tell you, I did not want to go to the gym. It was hard enough for me to stand up and go to my fridge and eat some ice cream. Okay, but one day I saw this episode of Oprah, and Oprah turned to the screen and looked in my eye and said, "Girl, you better go to the gym." And I was so inspired as a human that I got up and I said, "Okay, you know what? Maybe I can't run a marathon, but I can walk to the end of the street." And I walked to the end of the street and I walked back. And I did this day after day after day. And now, as you can see, I'm Scarlett Johansson, okay? And so and so then the suggestion is, if you want similar results, let's chat about it, right? That is so much more inviting than saying you should do X, right? And so it is really, really, really important that you use your own story, your own journey, your own transformation as your way to sell, right? Because people get defensive. And, I teach negotiation. A huge part of negotiation is managing people's ego and people's emotions, right? And so when you tell somebody, hey, you should be doing X, our immediate response is, you don't know me. Don't tell me what to do. Why are you telling me, right? But if I say about my story and I show some vulnerability and I say, you know what, it was really embarrassing when I was 891 pounds. I went to Walmart. I went to the largest size and I couldn't even find my size. I was really in pain and I was suffering. And I did this one thing that made a huge difference. Is that something that might be interesting to you, right? Don't assume that you know what they need and want. Don't make any assumptions, right? You're simply offering the opportunity to try the thing that helped you. And by positioning it that way, you don't make the reader feel defensive, and you soften their defenses, and you win interest because we're nosy. I'm nosy. I'm curious. I want to know, like, what did you eat for lunch, right? I want to know, like, what color your mom's hair is naturally. Like, I'm very curious, and most people are very curious. We want to know about each other's lives. So if you'll let somebody into your life, then they're going to listen. And whenever you're persuading, there's a question you have to ask yourself, okay? Is my reader or listener receptive to what I have to say? Or are they going to be critical? What is the opposite of receptive? Are they going to, are they resistant, right? Are they receptive or are they resistant? So if I'm trying to convince, I don't know, my enemy that we should be friends, they're going to be resistant, right? If I'm trying to convince my best friend, let's go for sushi, they're probably going to be receptive, right? And so you have to make that judgment call ahead of time. Are they going to be receptive or resistant? If they're resistant, you want to start with a concession. If they are receptive, you want to start with excitement. So let's say, I'm trying to convince my enemy, my arch nemesis. Who would be my online arch nemesis, Lewis? Who should I pick a fight with?
We're gonna start beef. We're gonna start.
Yeah, we need to start a rap battle, me and you, Lewis.
Just like JR and Mitchell right now, they're going at it.
Yes.
For those that don't know the story, they're trying to grow their groups to whoever reaches 5,000 members the quickest. The loser has to shave an eyebrow.
Right.
It'll be so sad to see Mitchell with an eyebrow shave. I'm Team Mitchell, so.
Right. So like a friendly feud. But let's say you had a real, like, you're really talking to someone who's resistant. Maybe you piss somebody off enough times. I don't know. Maybe this person doesn't like you or whatever. If you're convincing someone who is resistant to your message, start off with a concession. So I'm trying to convince my enemy, Lewis. Lewis, I understand you probably have no reason to trust me. I went to your Florida home and I put a lot of cockroaches in your bed. And that was really not so nice. I'm really sorry. And then they mated and then they had bedbug babies. And that was so rude of me. And then I spilled some mice in your room. And that was just crossing the line. That was just too much. So I 100% understand why you would hate me. All of a sudden, this dude who, like, I let a lot of, like, rats, like, gnarly SARS bird flu rats, I let them free in his room. But suddenly, now that I've made a concession, he's more receptive to my message. If he's already excited, if he already, like, likes me, trusts me, then we can start with excitement. Earlier Lewis said, Paloma, the coolest thing happened, and I'm so open, I'm so happy to hear it because I think Lewis is the greatest and I want amazing things for him, right? So you got to ask yourself this question: is my audience receptive or resistant to my message? Cool?
Cool. Very, very, very cool. Okay, we're getting some hearts up in here. I think all this information that you're sharing can be applied for, most of the crowd here are agency owners, they're marketers, and they are learning how to apply all these principles. So super, super cool. What copy should be? What opening words would you suggest including in your copy that catches? Since we do have to catch people's attention, in order for them to keep reading, we read from top to bottom. What are those things that need to be up there?
Yeah, great question. So I'm going to tell you a story, okay? The painting, the Mona Lisa? A child was dangling it over a fire in the MoMA in New York. And this iconic painting was about to be burned. And people around were horrified, went to go grab this kid. Hey, don't do that. How did this kid get so close to this painting that they could throw it over a fire, right? So you start with something is at stake, okay? Tension, remember this formula, okay? Tension equals attention. So a lot of the time you don't give someone a reason to care. You start off by saying, on June 7th, 2017, I will be putting on a webinar about blah, blah, blah. Nobody gives a crap-a-loni about your webinar. No offense, okay? You can write that in your little red box. Nobody gives a crap-a-loni about your webinar, okay? You need to start off by saying something that they cannot turn away, okay? So, there's this Latin phrase, in medias res, which means in the middle of the story, okay? Now, I don't know if you guys in primary school were taught how to tell a good story, But they told you that you need three things, three parts of a story. There's the beginning. What else?
The middle.
And the
end.
Wrong. You're right, but you're wrong. You're right. I set you up for that. Yeah, exactly. So that's how we're taught to tell a story, right?
Yeah.
So I want to ask you to change that around. So instead of beginning, middle, end, BME, change it to MBE. Middle, beginning, end. Start in the middle. Start at the highest moment of drama, okay? What I want you to do is be a contrast master. Take the highest moment of pleasure against the lowest moment of pain, and that is what a story is, okay? So I went all the way from 891-pound woman who couldn't even go to Walmart and find clothes that fit me to Scarlett Johansson lookalike, as you can see, my friend. So highest to lowest moment of pleasure, lowest moment of pain, and that's the journey you're taking your listener on. Your first line, here's the test. The test that shows you whether or not it is attention worthy is, does it make your reader have more questions that they're dying to have answered, right? So if my first sentence is, in my sleep he chopped off all my hair, period. What are you thinking? Louis is scared to answer my questions now because now I'm all like, wrong.
Damn. I gotta think hard about this one.
No, Louis, you're always right. I'm just always playing here.
Chopping off the hair, right?
Yeah, so I'm like, don't overthink this. I say to you, Louis, I was sleeping and somebody comes in my bed and chops off all my hair. You're thinking, what? How?
Did they get into
Why? Like, yeah, how did they get into your room? Great. You're right. So any question that you have shows that the first line was controversial, right? Audrey said, yeah, exactly. Like, why the hell did he cut off her hair? Right. And so it provokes a question. Well, if it provokes a question, then you need more information. It's left an information gap. And if there's an information gap, you better go to the next sentence and read. And if that sentence is, he used scissors that he stole from I don't know, from the drugstore. The next question is, what was he even doing there, right? Like, question after question. And you can lead them to a final conclusion, but make them earn the conclusion. Don't give it away for free. If your conclusion is, you probably want to jump on my amazing webinar, that can't be where you start. You start by giving them the goods? No. You need to make them hungry before you give them food. There's a song I was listening to on my iPod, and anybody who can tell me what song this was without Googling, because I don't even remember, he said, I can't give you the tissue before you sneeze. Who is that?
Oh, I have no
That's a
clue.
quiz question. Yes, some rap sort of song. I can't give you the tissue before you sneeze. Well, this is the perfect metaphor for writing, right? You're giving your offer before someone's hungry for it. The best persuaders make you hungry first with areas that you are curious. And if you can build curiosity, if you can leave an information gap, something that you don't know, right? Why do you think on these webinars you hear people say at the beginning, there's this one weird trick that I used that exploded my sales by 791%, and I'm going to tell you that if you stay till the end. Why do they do that? Because they want you to stay to the end, right? And you do, because you're curious. And naturally, humans are curious. You don't like it if I say to you, Louis, the craziest thing happened to me today at the swimming pool, and I have to pay a $3 million. Hey, Audrey got it. It's a Drake song. Mad respect. Yeah, so like you want to know the answer, and so use the human propensity to want to know the answer, to attract and to hold people's attention. Okay, start in the middle. Start with a vulnerability. That's something that really draws people in. Go to the pain. Start with the pain. Don't say you need to do X. That does not belong at the beginning. Absolutely not. You need to start off with, I was 891 pounds, sitting in my room, thinking about how I would kill myself, period. Then, wow, what a line. The next line, I was about to Google it, and then my computer broke. Next line. There's a ring on the phone from downstairs. Next line. I walk downstairs. It's my mom. My dad was just in a car accident. Next line. Just when I thought it couldn't get worse, a piranha ate my face. I don't know, whatever. But like, you're like, you don't give anything away for free, right? I can't give you the tissue before you sneeze. That's how you must begin, by building interest. If you don't have interest, you don't have permission to sell to somebody. Okay? Remember that. Your first goal is to delight, to excite, to produce shock, awe, interest. Wow, how did you do that? Wow, tell me more. Your first sentence should be short and snappy. They should not struggle to read that first sentence, right? And so, first sentence, like, keep it to like 7 or 8 words or fewer. And because listen, it's like resistance, right? If your writing is complicated, long, not interesting, it's like trying to run through Jello. Doesn't work, right? I mean, Lewis is super strong, so he could run through Jello, but for most people, you can't, right? So if your writing is like, if your first sentence is, on Tuesday, I'm going to put on a webinar in front of 10 of my favorite people, and so you should show up to and you're like, sorry, goodbye. People don't have attention, and they don't have a desire to reward you for boring the crap out of them. So it is your responsibility to learn the art of being interesting. And if you don't know how to be interesting, that's okay. There's a group for that, my friends. It's called the Negotiation Project. See your asses in there. But, side note, there are ways that you can learn how to be interesting. It is actually, yes, interesting people, like, there's some magic, okay? They have some magic, but that magic can be learned, okay? Charisma, passion, confidence can be learned. So invest in your ability to be interesting, confident, because those are attractive things that make people want to say yes to you, right? We're all trying to go for the yes. We don't want to cram it down someone's throat, and just like the question asker said, you don't want to be salesy, okay? Long way of saying you better be interesting.
That was extremely, extremely insightful. And I've seen it firsthand. I've seen all of this being applied in action, in person. I've seen Paloma get.
Where did you see it applied, Lewis? Was there like a particular group you saw it applied in?
No, she.
You in the negotiation project.
Yeah, you guys should definitely jump in that group. It's pretty good. You'll learn a lot. I mean, you've left me with a lot of knowledge and even more questions, but I want to extend the opportunity to anybody that's watching right now. If you guys have
definitely
any further questions, Paloma's been doing this for 9+ years. She's been teaching people, coaching people all over the world, and she's just amazing at what she does and can come up with really crazy examples that catch your attention. Not only in writing, but I don't know. I think she could be a really great stand-up comedian too.
Oh, thank you, darling. That's so nice. Yeah, guys, any questions, like, feel free, ask anything at all. And it could be about copywriting, but if you want to ask about entrepreneurship, if you want to ask about anything to do with communication, negotiation, I'm your girl. So feel free. Or just drop a hey, drop a yo. Let us know what music you're listening. So I just want to if we get a chance, I'll just run through really quick what those, because we promised what those 8 deadly sins are. But feel free, if anybody has questions, feel free to jump in.
Cool.
Oh.
Question from Landon.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna put it up on the screen so everybody can see it. Thoughts on the importance of being disruptive in more professional niches like real estate?
Great. Good question. So my mom got in trouble at networking meetings, and then they said, will you please teach us how to do what you're doing? So what she was doing was she was teaching people how to be different. And you might think that something like real estate, Landon, is something where you cannot be interesting and different. Listen, go watch a couple episodes of $1 Million Listing New York and tell me that being interesting and capturing people's attention does not pay off monetarily. Absolutely, you need to be interesting in any field, and being disruptive. I mean, there are so many words that are thrown around in our entrepreneur world that for me drive me nuts. Okay, so disrupt the industry sort of drives me nuts.
Value.
Add value, like, I know, add some fucking value, whatever. Like, can we please think of a less cliche way to explain it? And not to, wow, not to be an asshole for your question. It's a great question, Landon, about the question about how to balance professionalism with being interesting and different. But my mom, for example, she had a client who was a funeral director. You think real estate is serious? How about when someone's aunt just died, right? And she encouraged, so she was helping to workshop their 30-second pitch at a networking meeting. And she encouraged this dude who was a funeral director to start off with a joke. Okay. Now, joking is not the same as humor necessarily. You can tell a joke and not be a funny person. Okay. I can be a funny person and not just be like coming up here with jokes, right? Humor is a sensibility. Humor is a way of being, a way of interacting with the world, a playfulness, a joy, a pleasure, a sense of mischief, right? So yeah, you do need to stand out, especially in something like real estate that can be considered a commodity. That like, you feel like so many people are real estate agents. We have so many real estate agents. So it's like, what is your differentiation, right? And if you don't have a differentiation, listen, the worst thing that somebody can say about you is this. Nothing. If somebody says nothing about you, that's the worst thing they can say about you. And Grant Cardone, like him or hate him, he's absolutely right when he says that obscurity is the biggest problem when it comes to sales. That people don't know who you are. So if you can be a celebrity version of whatever the hell you are, a celebrity in the real estate world, a celebrity doctor like Dr. Oz, a celebrity fitness trainer like Jill Michaels, right? You have so much more influence and you can command the prices that you want because you have this huge following, this huge tribe of people who like you, trust you, respect you as the ultimate social proof. So yes, it is absolutely your responsibility in any field to be interesting. I don't know if we define disruptive as different than interesting, but what interesting does is it disrupts our attention patterns, right? And this is a biological, psychological thing, right? So, we are used to skimming and scanning. On Facebook, you're not stopping at every post and reading it, right? You're skimming and you're scanning and you're scrolling, right? Same when, we had predators and we were skimming and scanning the horizon to see if anything was moving that would be a threat to us, right? And so we are so desensitized to everything. Like we're desensitized, like, a homeless person has a sign that says, one-legged veteran whose baby just, got sick. And yes, we're compassionate people that care about people, but also our attention capacity is limited. And so it is your responsibility as the marketer of your own craft, you must figure out a way to be different and interesting. And I advocate doing that through your communication, right? What else is there? The way that you communicate must be different and interesting. The way you brand yourself, the way you position yourself must be different and interesting. So, I say to my sister who's a Spanish teacher, she's an amazing Spanish teacher, Spanish with Danny, go look her up, Spanish with Danny, okay? She's great. But I say to her, like, have an intersection, right? So instead of just Spanish, how about sexy Spanish? Or how about Spanish for travelers, right? Have an intersection that makes you interesting and different, and you can absolutely do that in real estate. You want to be the blank guy, the blank real estate guy, okay? Throw in an adjective, throw in something that distinguishes you. If you're from, like, Ireland, throw in, like, that can be your thing. Anything can be your thing. The thing that I can't stop thinking about. Lewis, did I tell you about this example before? Planking for pizza?
No.
Okay, so on Instagram, what are like the main things you follow on Instagram, Lewis?
I follow dancers. I also follow motivational stuff and entrepreneurs.
Okay.
Yeah, mostly entrepreneurship stuff.
Okay.
And public figures, in the entrepreneurial space.
Did you guys know that Lewis is a dancer? Lewis, do they know that? He's amazing. Yeah, Lewis is a cool dancer. So what I follow, of course, business people and entrepreneurs and influencers. And I also love following like fitness stuff and before and afters because it's really inspiring and I really, Audric agrees. Yeah, I love the before and afters. They're sort of addictive. And then you get into like the really like shitty like rabbit hole where you go to like plastic surgery before and afters and you're like, wow, nose jobs are so great. But anyway, side note. But so the one area that's very crowded is the fitness space. And on Instagram, like really to stand out, you have to have a thing. You have to have a hook. And so what this one woman does is just planking for pizza. That's her fitness thing. But her whole thing is like, hey guys, everyone else is on here because they want to get like skinny and toned. I just want to be able to eat as much pizza as I want. And so that's her thing. Like she has all these pictures of her like literally in plank with like a slice of pizza on her head, whatever. You might think that that's cheesy, but like I have not been able to stop thinking. I heard about this example when I was working with another client and she needed help with building her like written communication, right? And I said to her, who are some people you look up to? And she's like, planking for pizza girl, right? So you have to find your thing. You have to be interesting. It's not excusable today to not be different.
And to add to that, I mean, it will take time, you know, like it takes time. Sometimes it comes to you. Sometimes other people might start noticing it from you, and those around you might title it for you. So it's just all a matter of finding it, and when the time comes, you know, it'll be there.
That's actually such a good point, guys, that you might not know what your thing is, but it's a great question to ask. I know it makes yourself vulnerable, but if you say, guys, when you think of Paloma, what do you think, right? And someone's like, fiery lion. I'm like, cool. Fiery lion communication. Or like, what do you think of when you think of like Mitchell? How do you even say his last name? There's so many I's in there.
Weigerman.
Whatever. He's great. What do you think of? You think of his beautiful face, okay? So like ask people, what do you think of when you think of me? What do you associate with me? And you can make something your thing. You don't have to be married to it for life, but it helps people know who you are, and it helps people refer to you, right? It's so much like on Friends, we never knew what Chandler did. It would be great if we did. Like, we didn't know. He was like a computer something, something, something. Well, if we knew that he was the dude who, like, fixes computers in 30 seconds or less, we're like, oh, that's what Chandler does, right? Thank you so much, Landon. He said this is going way beyond copy, and I love it. I am so happy you're here with us. Yeah, differentiation is non-negotiable, okay? Differentiation is non-negotiable. If you want to be known, if you want to get noticed for what you do, you have to stand out.
Awesome. Paloma, so I want to be able to wrap this up with you mentioning the 8 deadly sins of copywriting.
Yes. Yes.
You know, wrap it up and finish off with these 8 things.
Perfect. Okay. First deadly sin. You're not going to be surprised we talked about this. Being robotic and boring. The worst thing people can say about you is nothing, okay? Second deadly sin. You're not using story. Or you don't understand the mechanics of story, okay? Story is about pattern. It's about contrast. It is about intensity. It's about tension. It's about taking people on a journey. You have to understand how to tell a good story. And by the way, when people are buying from you, they are not buying your stuff. They are buying your conviction, and they're buying who you are as a person, okay? They are buying you. So you better put yourself out there, and you better put your story out there. Third deadly mistake of copywriting is cliches. Guys, if I see somebody saying add value, get the heck out of my group. Because I told you already, man. You cannot be using cliches. People will sleep. People will scroll past. Your professor will fall asleep during your presentation if you use cliches. Please don't use cliches. Next one, you don't use a sense of humor. Guys, you're not going to get a fine for being funny, okay? I know you'll probably think like, oh, I'll be billed for it at the end of the month. You will not be billed for it if you're funny. People will like you. People will join your group. People joined the negotiation project because they said, hey, you're a funky chick. I was like, yeah, I know. So, like, it's okay to be funny, and it's good. Incorporate that. We need that. It's an attention-getting tool. Fifth one, you're pitching without first knowing what they want. Lewis, do you get shitty pitches in your PM every day like I do?
All the time. All the time, guys. All the time.
Hi, my name is John. Do you want my $7,000 how to trim your eyebrow program? For you, it's $10 off. And you're like, honestly, screw off, okay? And then you're just trying to think to yourself, am I going to be nice to them or sarcastic to them or ignore them, right? Please don't be that person. So lack of empathy, lack of understanding of what's in it for them. They must know what the benefit is to them. Sixth deadly sin is you're needy. Lean the fuck out. Did you guys ever watch the movie Hitch? Okay? You go 90, they go 10. And I would argue in sales and marketing, you better go 50-50. Okay? And the higher up you go, the less that you have to lean in. You can lean out more and people will still be attracted to you. Next, seventh one is too long. Every word costs $1. 8, perfectionism. And I'm going to end off with this, okay? I work with a lot of clients who identify as perfectionistic. And everybody knows I'm not going to use the cliche of analysis paralysis. I'm just going to say this to you. Don't be a perfectionist, be a very good shinist, okay? I'm cool to put my shit out there when it's very good. And when it's very good, it is very good. And it is not perfect, okay? If you find you're a perfectionist in writing, I'm going to leave you with 5 quick rules, okay? The 5 rules of writing. And this is when you're generating content. Later, you'll edit it. When you're in content generation mode, 1, don't think. 2, don't censor. 3, keep your hand moving. 4, you're free to write the worst crap possible. And 5, you don't have to share it. If you use all of these 5 principles in your initial content writing, you will produce gems. And then you separate the editor from the creator. The creator walks out of the room, the editor walks in, and they get to go over your copy. Okay, my friends, so those are the 8 deadly sins of copywriting. With so much love, I say to you, please avoid them. You are too interesting. Your message is too important to be clouding it with shit like cliches and robotic language. You're better than that. And if you need help with this, if it's not intuitive to you, talk to me. I'm really happy to offer you some resources.
Paloma, thank you so much. I appreciate your time and knowledge so much. And I feel bad for those people that missed out on this live stream. For sure have you here once again. And this is only the first time that you're stopping by. So Audrey wants to know, when's your next Skype hangout? Or
you know what? That's a great question. As soon as I get a computer that's not a diva, I will do another Skype hangout. And absolutely, Audrey, I would love to have you on, and I would love to meet you.
Awesome. Yes, Audrey is a pretty
Thank you so much, Andrew. That's so sweet. And good for you for having a shirtless profile pic. I wish we all could do that. That's great. Mad respect.
Paloma, so besides following your group and getting to follow you there, I actually linked it so you guys can see it in the caption, the negotiation project. Where else can they keep track of you, and where can they learn more?
Definitely. So I have a little baby YouTube channel. We've got about 20 expert interviews so far. I even have one that I did with my mama, which was really fun. So if you YouTube, Paloma Lev, Paloma, last name Lev. The first one that comes up should be an interview that I did with my lovely friend in India who's a crazy awesome digital marketer, Menik. And if you just click on where it says Paloma L, you'll get to my channel. If you like the videos, like them. If you love them, subscribe. And I keep putting out fun interviews that you can, I'm here, like Louis is here. We're here to help because, spread the love. The rising tide lifts all boats. So that's where you can catch more. But the negotiation project is really where it's happening. And anybody who's watching, I'm going to post this in my group as well. Louis, feel free to let them know where can they check you out.
Yeah, for sure. So you guys can join the Entrepreneur Accelerator. Here's where I hang out most of my time, and here I try to provide value to other people.
Yeah, add value, guys. Really, yeah. I'm glad he learned. Guys,
when we're in New York, we're like, we gotta take a shot every single time somebody says the word value.
Yeah, guys, this is the ultimate entrepreneur drinking game. Please don't have liver poisoning and sue us. But every time one of your friends says add value, take a shot. I was at a networking meeting, Louis, and this dude, for 20 minutes, he must have thought I'm young and stupid, which is totally fine. But he explained to me for like 20 minutes. He's like, the most important thing about social media is got add value. I was like, add value? Let me write that down. I was like, wow. I was like, if I could have like a shocked face emoji, I absolutely would. Thank you so much for letting me know. Add value, my friend.
Add value. But yeah, you guys can check me out here.
Can we make shirts that just say add value? Would you guys buy that? Would you mind if we sell it for 50 cents just to spread the, like, on the back you just see my face and Lewis's face, on the front it just says add value.
Oh my god.
Okay, my friends, awesome. Thank you so much. It's been really a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you all for tuning in, for hanging out. On Thursday, we're going to have another expert. And Paloma, once again, go follow her, join her group. And when you get there, make sure that you say that you saw her here.
Yes.
In this group, because that's always pretty awesome.
Yes.
Well, all right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. We'll catch you all again pretty soon.
Bye, guys.
Peace.